Okay, here we are next day after our first coat of primer. It looks really good. What I'm doing now is using caulk. Let's see if I can show this without showing the brand. But I can show you acrylic caulk. This is 35 year. I got another one that's 40 year, but you want to pay attention to where it says acrylic latex caulk plus silicone. And what that does, the silicone allows it to expand and contract. Because down here especially, you may go from 100 degrees in the summer, if no one's home, the air conditioner's off, down to 30, 20 in the winter. That's a long range. And that's when the house expands and contracts, especially the products you're putting on the wall. So if you notice here, the crack there, I started here, and see, I put it in there, and I'm working my way around. I also got a crack that was over there in the plaster, so I'm working my way around. Now what I do, everyone's different. I use a sponge like this and warm water to put it in there and then wipe it, and it looks nice and crisp and clean. So that's the game plan today, get all the cracks filled, and while that's drying, I'm gonna put another coat of primer on the woodwork, because the woodwork is like a paper towel, it's just sucking up the paint. The wall came out good, had a little run there, but I sanded that out. You can sand this primer. Remember I said yesterday, don't get totally crazy, like have big humps in the wall of spackle. You won't be able to sand that down. But as happens, you get runs in the paint. When I put the primer on, I don't know if I could find any because I only found one spot. Here's a run. Let's see if I can show that to you. That's a run. So what happened was the paint was so thick it started running. So what I'll do is take 150 grit is good, 120 is good, and sand that out so it's flat. So when I put my next coat, it'll be flat again. So here's the crack, and was a big crack here, and that's how you seal it up. There's one thing I want to say about old houses. You're gonna sand, especially when you deal, for example, this is sheetrock and this is plaster. Plaster in the old houses will move. If you look down any old house, you won't find the wall perfect. Here's an example out here. You can see like bumps and ridges. That's a plaster wall. I mean, the only way you're gonna get a wall super, super flat is to rip all the plaster out and put sheetrock in it. But guess what? That deducts from the character of the old houses. Houses are 100 years old or more, and this is one of them. I mean, if you wanted to see all sheetrock, super flat walls, it's kind of falsado, or whatever you want to call it. To me, it doesn't get the character of the house. You're basically ripping out all the character out of the house and putting new stuff in. And the only thing that it does do when you remove all the plaster is take a lot of weight out of the house, or some of the weight, let's put it that way. Because a sheet of sheetrock the same size in plaster is much heavier in plaster because it's basically concrete. So that's the only advantage I do see it. You'll get a super flat wall and you'll take some weight out of the house. But guess what? These old houses were built with some great timber and they can support the weight. The only thing, like every structure, they will move. I've seen even new houses with cracks in them. All right, just wanted to show you the next step because people have been following this, trying to see, and they're ready to start their own project at home, so have at it. Today is close all the cracks. The ceiling came out really good. And I can show you something else about the ceiling. No work was done on. I don't know if you can see it. I'm right over the shower. There's like little imperfections there. Look like little dings. I didn't work over here. But that's plaster. That's how plaster walls look. I mean, they're actually super flat when they first finished them like 100 years ago. But after them moving, you get little bulges and stuff here. So be careful when you're repairing on plaster, because if you make your work so super cool and flat, then you'll actually be able to sit back and see where you did work. So if you got a little dimple, you know, like here, a little dimple, you know, it's no different than what was existing. And let's say if you worked on half of the ceiling, you made it super flat, and you walk in, it looks odd. It's like, why the heck is this super flat? And why do I have characteristics of a 100-year house other places? So be careful with that when you're, you know, don't try to get it super, super perfect. The important part is to make sure nothing's loose. There's no little dimple. I didn't work here, but that's left over. But again, that gives character to the house. So don't try to get it perfect because you take away the character. All right, see you on the next one.